Welcome to Elimu TV. This is your biology teacher, Catherine Nyoroku. I'll be teaching you biology form 2. To confirm that you're in class, you're with us, please SMS the number 21450 to confirm that we are together. Now, in form 2, I'll first of all give you the course outline, what you'll be covering, because we encourage the students to always read ahead of the teacher. So the first topic is transport in plants and animals. This will be followed by the next topic, gaseous exchange. The third will be respiration. And the last in form 2 is excretion and homeostasis. So having that, I want to believe that you follow along. So welcome. Remember, our reference book is KLB, Secondary Biology, Book 2. So you can always refer to that textbook, KLB, Secondary Biology, Book 2. So we start with the first topic, transport in plants and animals. So you note that it is a broad topic because it is covering both plants and animals. But we'll start with the introduction. I believe that you know the meaning of transport. Transport involves movement from one place to the other. And therefore, when we come to biology, transport will involve movement of materials from one part of the plant body or animal body to another. So movement of materials. From one part of the plant or animal body to another. That is simply what it means. Transport from one place to the other. And therefore, we should ask ourselves, what are these materials that are moved? So the materials that are moved include nutrients and oxygen. These are materials that living things require for growth and development. At the same time, when they use these nutrients, that is the nutrients and the oxygen, to carry out metabolic processes, they produce wastes. Meaning that these wastes have to be removed as fast as they are formed. And therefore, they need to have a transport system. So all living things require a transport system. Why? Like I have said that they require to use the nutrients, and in the process of using those nutrients, they produce waste. So nutrients have to be taken to where they are required. The wastes have to be removed from where they are formed to areas where they will be eliminated. Now we have two categories of living things. We have lower organisms. For example, bacteria. Now, in Form 1, we found out that the bacteria are unicellular. That is, they are single-celled. Being single-celled means that they have a large surface area volume ratio. I want to believe that you still remember about surface area volume ratio. That is, a small organism has a large surface area volume ratio, meaning that most of its body is exposed to the environment. Having a large surface area volume ratio means most of its body is exposed to the environment. And therefore, such lower animals, they rely on diffusion alone for transport. So they do not have a transport system. They rely on diffusion alone. So diffusion is sufficient to give them the nutrients, to transport the nutrients, at the same time to remove the wastes. So what about the higher organisms? Now, higher organisms, on the other hand, they have a large body. A large body means that they are made of many cells. So what does this tell us? The more the cells, the more the requirements. So they have more requirements in terms of nutrients. And at the same time, they produce more wastes. And therefore, these higher organisms, they have a complex transport system. So they do not rely on diffusion alone. Diffusion cannot cater for their needs, and therefore they have a developed complex transport system. So I can ask you a question as part of an assignment that you state the substances that are absorbed. So when we look at the plants now. That was the introduction. We can get into the plants. You state the substances. Absorbed by the roots. So that is something I want you to think about, and transported to the rest parts of the plant body. So I hope you keep remembering that question. So now we are going to concentrate on plants alone, and then later on we get to the animals. So we start with the simple plants. Again, in Form 1, we had the example of the moss and the liverwort. The moss and the liverworts, we consider them as the simple plants. Now, these simple plants, they do not have a transport system, nor elaborate. Transport system. Why? Because they are small in size. I hope you can remember, we talked about the moss, where we can find the moss. The moss is the most common. It grows in damp areas. It forms a green carpet on damp walls, the river banks. That is where you can commonly find the moss. So they do not have an elaborate system due to their small size, and they use diffusion. So these use diffusion to cater for their transport. Now, why is it important that when they use the nutrients, they form the wastes? Those wastes have to be removed. The reason is because the wastes are toxic to the cells. So the same system that is transporting the nutrients is the same system that will have to remove the waste so that the cells can be able to carry out their functions. Now, what about the higher plants? Now, higher plants, like we talked about, the higher animals, they have a complex transport system. And this complex transport system is made up of vascular bundles. So, what do we mean by the vascular bundles? This is a tissue that is made up of the xylem and the phloem tissue. Xylem tissue and the phloem tissue. This is what makes up the vascular bundle that is involved in transport in higher plants. So we'll take the xylem tissue. Now the xylem tissue transports water and mineral salts. So the plant will absorb water and mineral salts using the roots, that is from the soil. The water, the mineral salts get into the roots. And then in the root, we have the xylem tissue that is continuous to the stem up to the leaves so that all the cells within the plant can receive the water and the mineral salts. Then we have the phloem tissue. Now the phloem tissue is involved in transport of dissolved food substances. Remember we said transport means movement from one place to the other. So the phloem tissue will move the dissolved food substances from the leaves to all parts of the plant body. Meaning that when you get to the roots, we have the phloem. When you get into the stem, we have the phloem. In the leaves, we have the phloem. Now, I want you to note that as the water is moving up from the root, there is the xylem, continuous, the stem to the roots. The food also moves down from the leaves to all parts of the plant, meaning that every cell in the plant is able to receive the water, the mineral salts, and the food. Now, about the waste, that is something we'll cover later on because the xylem and the phloem are not involved in removal of the waste. So that one will come later at the excretion. So to understand more, we look at the internal structure of the root. So before we get into the internal structure, we'd like to look at the functions of a root. We have two main functions of a root. One is anchorage. So what is anchorage? Anchorage means that it offers the plant firm support onto the ground. The other, and this is what we'll concentrate on, is absorption of water and mineral salts. Absorption of water and aminosaurs. So those are the two main functions of a root. However, we have other functions. There are other functions like storage and 2, breathing. We have breathing roots. Storage, they can store food. We shall later on look at that. So I want to go through the summary of what we have learned today. We have started by the introduction, where we have said that transport is movement of materials from one place to the other. And in this case, because we are dealing with plants and animals, it means that the nutrients, the oxygen, has to be transported from one place to the other, that is within the body of the plant or the animal. We've also seen the different types of organisms. We have lower organisms that have a large surface area, volume ratio, and therefore they rely on diffusion alone. We've looked at the higher organisms. They are complex, they are multicellular, so they cannot rely on diffusion for transport. So they have a well-developed transport system. Then we've started on the plants, and we have said that the higher plants, they have the vascular bundles for transport, and the vascular bundles are made up of xylem and the phloem. And I want to give you an assignment where you will state the materials that are transported by the vascular bundles. Materials that are transported by the vascular bundles, and the areas they are transported from and to. The areas, the materials are transported from, and where they are taken. Remember, I had also given you an assignment to state the substances absorbed by the roots and transported to the rest of the plant body. So with that, I hope to see you next time. Remember, for fingertips in biology, this is Bio Form 2. Bio 2, ESMS number 21126 to get your fingertips. I hope to see you next time. Thank you.